So I wanted to really dig into this metaverse because Black people are over indexing in NFTs, crypto, and I believe we're going to probably over index in the metaverse. And I feel because reality has been tough for a lot of Black people, like the real world that we live in has been skewed. We have to work so hard to get to places that, in a metaverse, we at least feel like there's a possibility to start fresh and then create our own situation. So I get why we do it, but I'm not comfortable with us not participating in the real things here and always kind of being subject to being behind the curve. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, it's interesting because there's an article from Yahoo Finance that's talking about like economic and racial inequities are long haul issues. I mean, as if we didn't know that, right? But for the Federal Reserve, and it's talking about basically the gap is just growing along with time. It's not closing, right? Like the wealth gap doesn't appear to be closing. So I think we're constantly looking for the new frontier for economic development for Black people, whether it's cannabis, whether it's NFTs. We're just looking for the space where we can be free and finally break into something. It's almost like, I've been saying for a long time, what we really need a wormhole. Like we need some way to cut time in half because we just haven't had that, because time is the problem right now, right? So like,
so pause there for a second, because what we're up against is that what do they call that, the exponential growth, so it's like, 1 penny every day doubled. If other folk have been doubling their pennies every day for the last 400 years, and then we just get that first penny, that's an impossibility to catch up. So you're right, we need a wormhole, but I feel like we're almost being set up, so whether it's the lottery, whether it's, it's like these things are being dangled in front of us that are like monkey paws. So while there may be the possibility of great success, there also could be great destruction. And let me just give you crack cocaine. There were some millionaires and billionaires made in the crack cocaine era. And there was destruction of whole communities and lives and families for generations. Two things can be true. And I've had this conversation with Freeway Ricky Ross, who literally was the person that sent crack across the country, like right. with his genius. At the same time, not good. So I'm looking cautiously, and I'm also saying the superpower of Blackness to me is that we catch up quickly when we apply that same diligence to the thing. So I just look at my last 17-year trajectory, even in the stock market. I've seen exponential growth getting in late. Like I got in late, but I see it. And if we all kind of commit collectively to, like, I figure, Shelly, that we can do a GameStop. Like I said this yesterday.
No, I think 100%. I think 100% we could do a GameStop if we get, I think, so here's the thing. Part of our challenge is, one, our attachment to certain outcomes. All right. That's part of our challenge. And I say that because from beating our kids to, whatever we do with our money, to however we want to look and feel, to however now the digital age has us comparing ourselves, like this attachment to a particular outcome. What I learned over the course of building the capital that I have now is that if you have an extra $5,000 a month, you can pretty much do what you want. I mean, to be honest, like there's no one purchase that is not an investment as an asset that costs more than $5,000. Even if you bought a $3,000 per bag or, $4,500 shoes. I mean, still, like at $5,000, it should be something that is a appreciating or potentially depreciating asset, right? It's not, even if you want to take a trip, like if you plan it right, you're not going to pay more than $5,000. I just, my mind was a little bit blown when I realized this, because I was like, oh, so I've been saying
I don't need millions and millions of dollars. I just need extra 5,000 a month.
That's it. And so when you start talking about Apple being a $3 trillion company, and you start talking about, the number of billionaires, I think it just gets real, like the money just gets real stupid money. Like it just gets like, you can't possibly spend the amount of money that you have in your lifetime on enough charities and enough, things, development.
Look at Mackenzie Scott. She can't give away the money and turn around and it done already fill back up. Like she's like, I can't give away the money fast enough for this money that keeps coming in. And I feel like that tipping point we're all looking for, but this is slow and steady. With the tortoise and the hare should be like reading for everybody, because it teaches that slow and steady lesson. I just think about the woman that was Osceola McCarthy, who was washing, was a cleaning lady in a school, and was able, when she died, to donate a scholarship fund, because she just saved her money and she wasn't even investing. It's just the diligence of that, right? And I think about how we are always looking for that quick hit, because the rappers tell us, that you can, if I could just be a rapper, or if I could just get in this, the crypto, it's like we're looking for the next hit, as opposed to like, these things are tried and true. And these things bankers are still doing, white folk are still doing, and they work. Why are
but like I said, it's a time issue, because if you think that you can walk outside of your house right now and get killed by the very people that's supposed to protect you, then of course you can't think about being 79 and 95. Like, so I think that, like, in this idea of like, we're living with so much pain in our bodies, and just like this idea of like, this level of pain is actually what we supposed to be experiencing. It's like, actually, no. Right. So I think there's all these challenges that just kind of beat you down mentally, that kind of, you have to find your way out to be able to just contribute all the time. That's the stock market, right? Like, when I first started learning about it, it was all these people that's like, take these penny stock classes, and like, you need to check it every day, and you need to watch it, and you need to trade it, and you need to, if you just put some money into that thing every time you get paid, just find your set of things and just keep, buying the EFT, just keep dumping the money in. Sooner or later, you're going to get some dividends. Just, if you don't have to have a whole lot, just start go on Square, or what is it, Cash App. Go on Cash App, get you a Coinbase or something. And just every time you get paid, just throw $50 in there somewhere. Just spread it out if you got to. Over time, again, it's a time challenge. It's like how we can think about slowing down, how we can think about how long we're going to live, how long we got to get our money back. I don't know that the metaverse is high right now. So, like CES, a lot of the companies right now, the Consumer Electronics Show, which is, if not the largest, definitely one of the largest global trade shows that happens every year in January. Great, amazing people at Consumer Technology Association, which run it. I was supposed to speak there, but I decided not to go because of COVID. So I'm actually on a Yahoo panel tomorrow to talk about women leadership. But at every year, they showcase like the hype is new, whatever's about to happen. Like, all the companies are bringing it. They're bringing, whatever technology about to roll out. What's hype this year is digital, like electronic cars, but the metaverse is everywhere. I'm hearing that the word meta is everywhere. Let me tell you something. These corporations know how to brand something. They know how to change your mind. They know how to change your mind. Okay. But I think we're seeing the metaverse. One, let me just say this. The metaverse was already a thing before Facebook started to rebrand itself as Meta. All right. Several different platforms. And you've talked about that before on the show. But now we're looking like, well, what could we do there? The challenge is like, depending on where you're trying to do what, it's still fairly controlled. I mean, Decentraland is decentralized, so you can do some things. Oculus, you got to still fight the machine if you're trying to mod it. Like, you're trying to modify it. It's not like an open platform. You just jump on and do what you want. There's an illusion of that. And I think that's the key. Like, who's building these? Who is actually making these tokens behind the scenes? Like, can we get access to that? No, because what has happened? In order for you to create a token, like the one that you can actually make money off of. I mean, you can make money off of NFTs, but I'm saying like the actual tokens. So you have to get securities. You have to get a pool of people to invest. You have to get, like, there's a loss to some of that, right? NFTs are not so regulated. So we're like, not in that way. So like, hey, let me get my chunk of the whatever it is that we don't really know what it is.
Right. Right. I'm stuff like, someone's like, somebody else is, I just gave you a Naughty by Nature NFT. I was like, I don't want it. It's like, it's free. I was like, I get it. No, you want this. You want to, you don't understand this. I was like, I don't want it. but I'm giving it to you. I'm like, I don't want it.
I want it. That's a good
okay,
one.
I'll give it to you. I'll give it to you.
Send it to me.
I'll send it to you. I'm just like, I don't have the energy. So maybe that's my problem. I have a limited, we all have finite amount of energy. We all do. Like, I don't care what you say. Everybody has a finite amount. I cannot divide myself to put, because if I'm gonna get into something, I'm gonna get in. You know, like if you know me, I'm all in. I don't have room for another thing to be all in. And I'm definitely not all in on this thing that I don't understand. And I don't want to spend the time to understand what, you could put whole books. You're gonna put books on the NFT. All right. How do people buy the books from? I haven't done the work yet. And I don't know if I will. Because I know that right in front of me is all I need. It goes back to the simplification, the $5,000 extra a month. My number is not that great. I don't need that much more to be happy and self-sufficient. Let me just get that one. And this is all I need to do to get there. I can't put more energy over here when I'm this close to getting that number that will allow me to do anything that I want. So let me just focus on that. And then when I get there, maybe I'll have the energy to be able to look at something else. But I feel like we're running with like chickens with our heads cut off instead of just having a methodical plan to get to that place.
But if we were operating in community, though, that wouldn't even matter, right? So, like, because if we were in the level of society where this was truly communal, right, and that's not to say communist, but if it was communal, right, because I think there's elements of both of these different types of things that we need. That's another conversation. But ultimately, if we were more communal, we would need you to be that, right, and then we would need people to be wanting to make, double the millions. And then we would need people. And then the way it would all work together such that nobody's left behind or nobody even has to be anything they don't want to be, right? Like you should not have to feel like you have to think about anything other than what you want to think about. And that should not feel limiting to anyone, right? Like the description of what you just described should not be, oh, that's limiting where you're quote unquote missing out. That's not purely capitalist way of thinking about it. That should not be what it is, right? Like I think there needs to be a mix of ways of being where like no matter what though, you're not worried about your food, you're not worried about your shelter, you're not worried about your, regardless if you want to buy some $3,000 shoes, that's on you, cool, but you're definitely not worried about food, shelter, healthcare, right? Like those things, if we were truly thinking about how we rotate money throughout society, you should be able to be like, I don't want to get into NFTs, I'm good. You should be the same level of value as the person that says, oh, well, I'm gonna get I'm gonna buy up the entire board of chips. Right. Okay. Like
right. No, you're saying something. And I pray, and I feel like we can get there though. 866-801-8255. Well, I promised to talk about this metaverse. This is from theconversation.com. This woman, I'm a Black woman and the metaverse scares me. Marginalized people often suffer the most harm from unintended consequences of new technologies. For example, the algorithms that automatically make decisions about who gets to see what content or how images are interpreted suffer from racial and gender biases. When Mark Zuckerberg laid out his vision for the metaverse, a network of virtual environments in which many people can interact with one another and digital objects, and said that it will, quote, touch every product that company builds, problems are starting to surface already. Avatars, the graphical personas people can create or buy to represent themselves in virtual environments, are being priced differently based on the perceived race of the avatar. Technology is never neutral. Widely used technologies often assume white male identities and bodies as the default. MIT computer scientist Joy Blumawini has shown that facial recognition software performs worse on women and even worse on women with darker faces. Other studies have borne this out. The general relationship between technology and racism is only part of the story. Meta has a poor relationship with Black users on its Facebook platform and with Black women in particular. In other words, Facebook was essentially racially profiling its users based on what they do and like on its platforms, creating the opportunity for advertisers to discriminate against people based on their race. Facebook has since updated its targeting categories to no longer include ethnic affinities, but that's still it's foundational. So we can't be in a metaverse, imagine through the lens of somebody who won't in their DNA doesn't consider us as equal, valuable, or do you know what I'm saying? And I fear, this is the only thing I'm saying, Shelly, we're going to get in it. We're going to remix and come in and do what we do, bring the seasoning and the spices and make it sexy, just like Black Twitter, and walk away with not $1 for all of the goodness that we're bringing to these platforms. And I'm saying no more. Let's stop throwing our pearls to pigs, and let's stop bringing value to things that don't value us. That's all. That's how I feel. Thoughts?
100%. I mean, you're saying that we got to stop sitting in the consumer mindset is what I'm hearing you say. It's like, because that's a very, like, we're the consumers, we consume. And how do some of us move over to ownership or harmonize our consuming and ownership?
Can we create our own metaverse? I'm just like, I don't want to be in his metaverse. I want to be in our metaverse. You know that opening scene where they go to Wakanda and they come in and it's like they go past the force field and you see, it's like, oh, this is what it looked like to be like, can we create a metaverse? Do we have the capacity to do that? Because I don't want to be in that metaverse. I want to understand
money.
Okay. All right. Let's work on that.